Hi, my name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm a Cavoodle puppy coach and breeder for Noodle Way and River City Puppies. As a coach, my philosophy is simple. A Cavoodle should always complement your lifestyle, not complicate it. And this is the foundation to everything I teach. For almost the past decade, I have been working in the breeding, training, grooming, and veterinary sectors of the small animal industry. I've also been raising Cavoodles for the past 16 years, so I have definitely learned a thing or two about the breed along the way. Now this podcast is all about Cavoodles. Raising Cavoodles, training Cavoodles, grooming Cavoodles, breeding Cavoodles, and how to shape the behavior of a Cavoodle puppy. So if you're a Cavoodle parent or you are looking at adding a Cavoodle to your family soon, then this podcast is for you. New episodes will be released each Tuesday morning, and you can follow me across all social media under the name @OodleWay for more tips and advice on Cavoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome back to the Cavoodle Coach podcast. My name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm your host and your Cavoodle puppy coach. And today, when I was sitting down trying to brainstorm some topics for some episodes, I went onto Google and I just typed in what are the common questions people ask about Cavoodles, and it came up with a whole list of questions that I realized I haven't really answered in episodes. I've gone much more deeply into the Cavoodle breed, their temperament, their behavior, but I haven't even addressed some of the most common questions. So what I thought is, let's just strip it back. Let's go back to basics and let's just create a mini series. Now, I'm not sure how many episodes it'll be. It's just going to be however many I do to answer all of these common questions. And I'm going to keep them really short, sweet, bite-sized so that anyone who is asking these questions about Cavoodles can just have a listen for 5 minutes or so and get their questions answered. And so the very first question that we're obviously going to answer is, what is a Cavoodle? And I want to talk about what the Cavoodle is, why they are so popular in Australia and the world, and I want to talk a little bit about why they were created. What's their background? What's their heritage? So let's get started with the very first question in this mini series. What is a Cavoodle? So a Cavoodle is a crossbreed dog between the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a poodle, either a toy poodle or a miniature poodle. And two things to note about this. They are a cross with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, not to be mistaken with the King Charles Spaniel. These are actually two separate breeds of dogs, and a Cavoodle is the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, not just the King Charles Spaniel. So if you're here and you're looking at getting a Cavoodle and you're looking at different breeders, that's the first thing to check. Make sure it is a cross with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a poodle, either toy-sized or miniature-sized. That is, on a basic level, what a Cavoodle is. And that is what we call a first generation Cavoodle, which is when they are crossed with the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and then they are bred with a poodle, whether they are toy or miniature. However, because Cavoodles have been around for quite a while now, we now do have different generations of Cavoodles. And depending on the generation of Cavoodle, you might have a poodle crossed with a first generation Cavoodle, which still gives you a Cavoodle. You might have a poodle crossed with a second generation Cavoodle, which still gives you a Cavoodle. Or you might have a Cavoodle crossed with a Cavoodle, which still gives you a Cavoodle. And I hope you're understanding the picture there. They are the same breed, but because the breed has been around for a while now, different breeders are able to work through different generations to really try and hone in on their favorite characteristics, temperament, coat, genetics, looks, and then breed them more consistently by having more generations of the Cavoodle breed. But on a basic level, a Cavoodle will have a heritage that includes the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a poodle. Now, Cavoodles are, as of 2023, they haven't had another study or research data done since, but in 2023, Cavoodles were the most popular dog breed in Australia, making up 15% of all dogs. And this was a study done by, I'm going to make sure I say the right thing here, Budget Direct's pet insurance quote data. And so for their research, it showed that Cavoodles represented about 15% of all dogs in Australia. And this was a lot more than the next breed of dog, which was Labradors and Golden Retrievers, which only made up 4.19% of dogs, and they were second place. So Cavoodles are really, really popular in Australia. They are also really, really popular across the world. And depending on the country you are looking at, they are also called Cavoodles. So that's more over in America, in the UK. Especially, they are called Cavoodles, and it's the exact same as a Cavoodle. We just have different names for this breed of dog. Now, the Cavoodle is a crossbreed dog. They are not a pure breed dog yet. And what this means is that there is variations in the dog. They're still very new. They're a new breed. If we look at purebred dogs like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, they have been around for hundreds of years. But the Cavoodle really only started being bred, I would say, in the 2000s. So my first Cavoodle I got when I was 8 years old, back in 2008. And he was one of the first Cavoodles in my suburb in Brisbane. And I worked at the vet clinic there. And when we first started taking him to the vet, he was one of the only ones on the client list. By the time I left the vet clinic, the Cavoodles were everywhere. So the Cavoodle breed is very, very early, and that means they are still a crossbreed dog, because for a Cavoodle to become a purebred dog, or for any dog to become recognized as a purebred dog, that means your Golden Retrievers, Labradors, Kelpies, Border Collies, the Poodle, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, these purebred dogs, they are older dogs. They have been around for a lot longer. And they all actually started out as crossbreeds, but because they have been bred for so long now, the breeders have been able to really narrow down on the genetics and create really good consistency in the breed. And that means when you breed a poodle, it always comes out looking like a poodle with a poodle's temperament. Whereas a Cavoodle, which is a crossbreed, it's still early days. And so Cavoodles can come out and they can all look a little bit different. They can all be different sizes. They do have different temperaments. And so the breed is too young yet to have that consistency. It's something breeders in Australia are working towards. And in Australia, the breeders who are working towards creating a purebred Cavoodle, they are working towards having them called the Theodore, which will be their purebred name. And it's a work in progress. It could take years and years and years before Australia recognises the Theodore, which is a Cavoodle, as a purebred dog. But we're on our way. We're doing the work. We're trying to breed and get some consistency. But for now, the Cavoodle is a crossbreed. And they are, like I said, by far the most popular breed of dog in Australia. And the reason is that they really do suit so many different family lifestyles. They are a beautiful, beautiful breed of dog. And one of the main reasons why they were bred and the crossbreed started is because people wanted to take the best characteristics of the Poodle and the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. If you don't know much about the Poodle and the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, the Poodle is a hypoallergenic dog, meaning they don't lose any hair. And this is obviously amazing for a lot of families who suffer from allergies, anyone who's allergic to dog hair, or simply anyone who just doesn't want to have dog hair all through their house. So that particular trait of the Poodle was highly desirable, alongside the trait of them being highly intelligent, which makes them pretty good and pretty receptive to training. And it also makes them quite loyal and quite eager to learn, which is a trait that's really good for families who want to bring a dog into their home, because it means that the dog can be quite attentive and ready and eager to learn. So they took the Poodle and they took the hypoallergenic hair, so no hair loss, and they took the intelligence, and they thought to themselves, okay, we love these traits of the Poodle. However, Poodles can be highly active dogs, and the average family doesn't really want that high energy of the dogs. So what could we do with the Poodle to make it into a lower energy breed of dog. And that is when they looked at the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Now, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel loses hair, but on the flip side, they are very gentle, affectionate, laid-back dogs. And they have low energy requirements. And that is a temperament that a lot of families really, really love and really, really want. They want a little cuddly lap dog. And this is what they loved about the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. And they didn't love the hair loss. So they thought, why don't we combine the poodle's intelligence and lack of hair loss with the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel's placid, gentle, beautiful temperament. And that is how the Cavoodle came about. And it is why they are continuing to be they are the most popular breed of dog in Australia, because they are taking the best traits from two wonderful purebred dogs, breeding them together, crossing the breeds to create the Cavoodle, which is a dog that doesn't lose hair, that is intelligent, but also has a gentle, placid, lower energy nature, which does suit a lot of families. Now, this is very, very, very surface level of what to expect from a Cavoodle. However, like I said, the Cavoodle is still a very early breed of dog, which means there isn't reliable consistency yet in how the Cavoodle looks and how the Cavoodle's temperament plays out. And that's when it's really important to go a layer deeper and to really start looking at the individual personality traits of a dog, and then working alongside a Cavoodle breeder to make sure you match the right personality traits with your family's lifestyle. Now, this is a topic I'm going to go into further detail on in another episode, but for now, as a basic level, this is what we expect from a Cavoodle. It is what breeders are aiming towards achieving. And they are a very beautiful, beautiful breed of dog, with the added benefit of them looking like a real life teddy bear. If you Google Cavoodle, you will see literally the most adorable little fluffy dog with a teddy bear face. And they are beautiful. And that obviously contributes to their popularity in Australia today. So that is the answer to the very first question on this Cavoodle Basics series, which is, what is a Cavoodle? In the next episode, we are going to answer another very common popular question. And if anyone is looking at getting a Cavoodle puppy, this is a series you are really going to want to follow along and listen to, because I'm just going to go through all of those really common questions about the breed so that you have a really good understanding of what to expect from them, so that you are able to make the right decision on whether the Cavoodle is the right breed of dog for your family. So if that is you and you are asking this question, definitely follow and subscribe to this podcast. There will be a button on your screen that says follow or subscribe. And then you can also turn on alerts so that when a podcast episode is released each Tuesday, you will get a little ding notification on your phone saying the next episode is out, and you can continue listening to this series. In the meantime, my name is Tiana Karamais, and you can find my Instagram page or my TikTok page under Oodle Way. And on Oodle Way, that is where I share more tips and advice on raising a Cavoodle, training a Cavoodle puppy, and just general information on the breed. So definitely go follow me over there. And hopefully you have enjoyed this episode, and I will see you back in the next episode for another topic where we are going to be addressing the Cavoodle breed and everything about this wonderful, beautiful breed in Australia. So I will see you there. This has been your Cavoodle coach, Tiana Karamais. I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.